Hello, and this time we're looking at solving equations. And I have done solving equations videos before, but it never hurts to do more practice of rearranging and solving. It is fundamental to mathematics. Everything turns into an equation to solve. So it's very important that you're happy with moving things around. And you might know that my way of solving equations is that the name of the game is that we do the opposite. When we're trying to move things around, and specifically moving things across the equal sign, we can do that by doing the opposite math. So if something is plus, then it becomes minus. If something's minus, it becomes plus, of course. Times and divide are opposites. Something squared, so if I do a little 2, is the opposite of square rooting, and so on and so forth. And as long as you do the opposite, then you can move it to the other side. You're not really moving things at all. If we try and move this 11 across, it's not that we're moving it across, but we're doing the opposite, taking 11 on both sides. It just happens to be that this cancels out, and so it looks like that 11 has moved across the equal sign and gone from being positive to negative. And that's why doing the opposite works, even though technically we're sort of doing the same thing to both sides and balancing. Now, these two questions here are pretty similar. There's just a negative sign causing issue here. We've got a bracket to worry about, and then we've got some fractions. So I'm just going to go through these examples, and hopefully that will give you an idea for the questions you might need to solve. Now, when I've got the letter on both sides, I always move the smaller amount. So I'm going to move the 3a. And that way I'm always going to end up with a positive amount of the letter. So if it was the other way around and the smaller amount was here, I'd move that one across. But anyway, as it is, the 3a, it's positive. We don't look at that sign. That sign belongs to the 2. The sign in front of the 3 is a plus. It's not written, but that means it's positive. And we do the opposite, because the name of the game is to do the opposite. Take it away. And for question A, we're going to get 5a take 3a, that's 2a, plus 11 is minus 2. And then we can do the opposite of this, add 11, which is take 11. So 2a is minus 13. And then we can divide by 2 and get a is minus 13 over 2. Or you can write that, that's supposed to be an equal sign, as minus 6.5. Personally, I would say stick with the fraction. You don't need to go to decimals, but it's not a problem if you do. In question B, it is exactly the same as this question, but the added bonus that you need to expand the bracket first. That's all you need to do, and then it's exactly the same. But let's go through it for completeness. So with the expanded bracket, 10 minus 5x equals 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times minus 2x is minus 4x. Okay, and like I said before, I'm now going to move the smaller amount of x. This is essentially now just this one. It's all about layers, yeah? But it's just an extra complication of the bracket, but ultimately that just makes it the same question as we had before. And I'm going to move the smaller amount of x, which is the minus 5x. So add that to both sides, and we get 10 equals 6 plus 1x. Minus 4 plus 5 is plus 1. And then we can move the 6. Remember, it has its sign there in front, a plus sign. I know that one's plus as well, but you've got to remember it's the sign in front of each term, not the sign afterwards. The opposite of plus 6 is take 6, so we get 4 equals x, and just switch it round into the right form, x equals 4. Okay, question C, the complication is that the thing we want, the y, is negative already. So controversially, not at all actually, but we're going to move the thing we want. We wouldn't normally do that. It's moving away everything else that we don't want is the idea. But we're actually going to move this chap so that we don't have the minus sign. I'm going to say 15 equals 25 plus 2y. Okay, doing the opposite. It was minus, it's now plus. And now it's just like any other question. It was just the first layer, and now it looks like a simple one. We just moved 25, so we get 15 minus 25 is minus 10, doing the opposite of that plus, and that equals 2y. And so flipping it round and doing the divide, y equals minus 10 divided by 2, which is minus 5. And finally, question D, when you've got anything on the denominator, you multiply by the denominator. And the fact we've got a big old expression here, we've got to imagine that there's brackets around these things. Okay, so when we multiply by the denominator, we're multiplying the whole thing, not just the x. Okay, and we've got two denominators, so I'm going to times everything by this. Of course, we're not going to have it staying over this side, because if we did times it up here, this bracket, it would just cancel. But this one is going to appear on this side, and this one's going to appear up here. So we're going to end up with 5 bracket x plus 3 equals 2 times 2x minus 1. Now, this is exactly what we had here. It's just instead of 1 bracket to expand, we've got 2. But once we've expanded that bracket, it will then look more like one of these questions, where there's no bracket, it's just all numbers to move to one side, move to the other side. So hopefully you can see that with solving, it's a stack. Yes, it's the easiest step at the bottom, and then you just keep adding one more step above and above to make it harder. But if you think about it in these steps and you get each of the steps right, then you'll be all right. You'll keep it going all the way until it's the nice easy bit. So just to finish it off, expand 5x plus 15. Don't forget to times the second thing by the number as well. It's a classic mistake if you don't. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times minus 1 is minus 2. Bring the smaller amount of x over, and we get x plus 15 equals minus 2. Bring the 15 across, and we get x equals minus 17. The name of the game is you do the opposite. Hope that makes sense. If you have any other queries, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, ta-ra for now. I say ta-ra for now, but I need to get the mouse to turn it off. Right, this time, ta-ra for now.